So, in this video, I'm going to take on Telethia Endbringer in Ares, rather than on foot. Fighting in an Ares isn't really my thing. Fighting in a skell isn't really my thing at all. So this is something a bit different for me. But I'm going to hopefully show that this can be done as well. The Ares is not the best skell for this by any means. It's probably pretty much the weakest of the level 60 skells, because you can't change any of its gear. It does have the Agahasora cannon, which is quite good, but it's restricted to only 4 weapons, which seriously limits how many augments it can have, and its sidearms aren't very good. But if you want a powerful skell and you don't want to spend time making a powerful skell, it's probably the best option for that, in that all of the other level 60 skells, after you craft them, you then have to spend a lot of time to make them powerful. You have to spend a lot of time augmenting them, so they're not sort of powerful out of the box. They're only powerful after you make them powerful. Whereas the Ares is fairly powerful out of the box, and then with a bit of work augmenting it, which I've done on this one, it can take on super bosses. So I'm now in overdrive, so I'm going to fire my cannon. And that's very good. I broke the tail, which is a key thing I wanted to achieve before we go to phase 2, which we're about to do. Now I want to charge up as much. I cancelled the overdrive because there's no way I would have been able to keep it all the way to the ground. I just want to charge as much GP as possible before starting phase 2. So I just need to get close and keep shooting, just keep charging GP. So at this point, basically after he takes about 1/3 damage, about a second after that, he becomes invincible and flies to the ground to start phase 2. Obviously the invincibility goes away when you get down. With my longsword kills, I was killing it before it could go into phase 2. The longsword build I was using would not have been able to survive phase 2 at all. So we're into phase 2. Basically need to build to overdrive, fire the cannon again, and we'll go to phase 3. I'm very much sticking to the Agni Gatling and the Agahasora cannon because those attacks are ether, and I have a reflect neg ether equipped. I do not have something to stop reflect for thermal or physical, which the elements of the other 2 attacks. So if I use the other attacks, I will get it reflected, most likely. Oh no, that's very bad. I got into overdrive and I cancelled my own overdrive by mistake. If I'd not cancelled the overdrive, we'd be going to phase 3 now. Instead, I'm very much slowed down. But if I still win the fight, what it will prove is that you do not need perfect play to beat Endbringer in a fairly average Ares. Okay, so we've got to phase 3. You see it's invincible again. If I'd done it in overdrive, I might have been able to skip phase 3 and just kill him there. Also, I wouldn't have used up the fuel, so I don't have much fuel left now. Okay, so this is the dangerous bit. So this is where it triggers Soul Read, which basically means everything misses now. So actually it means it's safe for me to do my non-ether attacks, to to build up some GP because they won't hit. But now I'm going to go into overdrive, and I'm just going to spam Agni Gatling again and again and again in overdrive to hopefully get through Soul Reed. Soul Reed is just a massive decoy buff, so it's just the next 100 hits or something are all guaranteed misses, so you just have to shoot him loads to get through it. If I can get through it before the overdrive ends, I will then win with a sort of cannon. I can't, or maybe I can win with it anyway. Maybe I won't. Hoping for one more overdrive extension, which would make me win. I didn't get it. So I'm still not through the Soul Reed, but I'm far enough through it that I don't want to risk using the other attacks now, really. The Ares has a nice advantage of using its art to block status effects, so Sedative Mind that Endbringer tried to use there would normally put you to sleep, but you can't get put to sleep during Agni Gatling. I'm pretty sure this, I'm safe from this art. It's only Collider X that can hurt me of Ares arts, basically, because of the resistances I have on this skell with the ordnance I put on it. Everything else will only do 1 damage. The 1 damages do add up, they're not 0. And I appear to be through the Soul Reed, but I'm still struggling to hit it enough. So as I'm through the Soul Reed, I can't use Ether Rest down, but I've got enough ether resistance that even with that, you can't kill me. I need to get back into overdrive because that will give me enough of an accuracy boost to finish him off. At the moment, if I fire the cannon, there's a significant chance of it missing. So anyway, now I can go into overdrive, and this is going to be it. And a very fitting way, I think, to finish Endbringer off in overdrive, firing the I guess that's the cannon. So there we go. And is that a nice drop? No, it is not a good drop. A beam assault rifle with firing range, accuracy, and arts recover HP. That is a useless weapon. It looks nice though. I'll just quickly walk through the build I'm using. So I'm not using any skellware, so my ground gear isn't contributing to this at all, nor am I using any relevant skills. There are only 2 skills I think that can impact a skell. I'm not using either of them, so it's just down to what's on the skell. So Ares from the shop, you can't change any gear when you get an Ares, so no gear changed. But then augment. So firstly, the Reflect Neg Ether. That means you can fire the Agni Gatling and the Agasura cannon without them getting bounced back in your face by Endbringer. So you absolutely have to have that if you're going to use an Ares to kill Endbringer. I suppose you could instead have Reflect Neg Physical or Reflect Neg Thermal if you intended to work with only the Avatar Missile and the Vajra Flail. As I didn't have those 2 but do have Ether, I'm restricted basically to Agni and Agasura only. But anyway, so Reflecting Ether is key. Slayer Ultra Faunas, they're just increasing the damage I'm doing. They're not compulsory. You could work with less damage, probably. More Slayer Ultra Faunas. Custom Web Speeds, all 3 of those meant that I could fire Agni Gatling quite as much as I was. In theory, you could work with less of that. You'd be attacking a bit slower. More Slayer Ultra Faunas increasing the damage. 2 arts GPs and 1 spec up ranged accuracy. So I was relying on overdrive to guarantee hitting with the Agasura cannon, and hence the arts GPs were very important. I think ideally I would have had more than 2. I stuck at 2 because I had enough of farming them. Getting the red Vigent rock scalps that you need for them takes quite a while, as you can only get 1 from an enemy, and you have to kill 2. You have to break 2 of its appendages to get that 1. It's both its forehead and then a thing underneath its forehead. And there's a tiny chance of getting a second when you kill one, but no way of guaranteeing a second. And you needed 36 per augment, as well as other things as well. So I find those very tedious, and I stuck at only 2 of them. 3 or 4 would probably make the scale better. Some people would use overdrive as that only way of guaranteeing accuracy. As I was only making 2 of those arch GPs, I also put on a spec up ranged accuracy. If you were going to do no arch GP, you'd probably want 2 or even 3 of the ranged accuracy augments, so you could hit all the time without being an overdrive. I put 3 custom wep attacks on the Agasaura cannon. That just massively increases the damage done by the cannon. It more than doubles it, which is why I was doing quite so much damage. Spec up ether resistance. I've got 5 of these, basically 1 on every single piece of armour. You only need 4 to make Endbringer do 1 damage per attack with all of its ether attacks, so actually the 5th is irrelevant, and could probably, to make a slightly better build, could be replaced with a spec up electric resistance. Then that Collider X move wouldn't be doing quite so much damage. As it was with this set, I was very close to dying. It was touch and go to win. So if you were to reduce the damage you were doing, perhaps by skimping on some of the augments up here and hence slow down, you'd need to fix something else. So maybe a spec up electric resistance instead of one of these ether resistances, to enable you to take a bit less damage from the Collider X move and hence survive a bit longer if you're attacking slower. And more accuracy augments, so you don't have to be in overdrive all the time, perhaps could be a way to improve it. I've then randomly got 2 position damage above augments on the frame. Those are irrelevant to the fight. I didn't make use of them. You could put something useful on the frame, I just didn't. So this was a case of putting together what I happened to have. The only augments I crafted specifically for the fight that I didn't already have were a couple of extra ether resistances, and then I made 1 more than I needed by mistake. The ranged accuracy augment and the arch GP. The others I already had from other things I'd been doing. So yeah, that's the skell, and that's killing Endbringer with an Ares. Not the easiest way to do it, not the flashiest way to do it. Probably the easiest way to prepare for, the least farming required. I think I could be wrong. There might be an even lower farming quantity kill, but I'm not aware of one at the moment. So hope you enjoyed that, and that's that.